Hey folks, it's been a minute, but I'm back because we have a tradition here, and that tradition is to talk about 10 movies that I liked, and I post the list about 2 months too late. So here's the top 10 movies of 2024. My name is Oliver the Ricketts. I am a filmmaker, editor, director of photography, etc. Hire me. But I also love talking about other people's films. I think for years we've been talking about how cinema is dead and they don't make them like they used to anymore. But I think this year, they made them like they used to. I think that that is a tired statement. I think there were so many great movies in 2025 that anybody could watch and enjoy, and there was a movie for everybody. First of all, we're gonna have what's called superlatives. These are things that didn't quite make the top 10, but we gotta talk about them anyways. Then after superlatives, we'll get into numbers 10 through 5. These are movies we're gonna kinda breeze through, although their inclusion on this list means that they are the most excellent quality and you should see them. Then for the top five movies of the year, I will dedicate at least 1 to 2 minutes. With the award for movie that I thought was going to be too long, but actually it was okay and good and moving. They write that on the trophy. We gotta talk about The Brutalist. This would have been potential for top 10, but I also only just saw it. Most fun movie that was on this list until it got bumped off by other movies. Obviously, Lisa Frankenstein. This is like your quintessential sleepover movie. When you're a teenager and you're hanging out with your friends and it's late and you put on a weird movie and you just have fun with it. It's got so much like My Chemical Romance music video. But there's also a vibe of live-action Dr. Seuss movie, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, or the dreaded Cat in the Hat. Just take all that, but imagine it's good. And of course, superlatives can't all be good. We also gotta do the worst movie of the year. And this year, it's a two-way tie, kids, between Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter. Wild that they were both in the Sony universe of movies that have something to do with Spider-Man, I think.
Has to do with Spider-Man, I think.
I'm so glad that it's over. I'm dreading whatever comes next, but this is interesting because there are two kinds of bad movies. There's the bad movie that is boring, and you're sad that you went and watched it because it wasted your time, and it's even worse when it's a character you like. That's Kraven. Then there's the bad movie that is so bad that you have to take people to see it again and again and again because you can't believe how crazy it was, and that's Madam Web. But thank you, Sony. They don't make them like you do. We've got the big popcorn movie. I think it's wild that when I gave it a B, people acted like I hated the thing. I'm also fascinated with the Twitter contingent that's like, I hate this, this is the death of cinema, because it's a generally pleasing movie. It is okay to be a blockbuster that takes the most common denominator and figures out how can we make the most amount of people happy when they leave the theater. Let's talk about that next one. There's a White House siege in this movie that is one of the best action sequences that I've seen in a movie not only this year, but any year. I think the sound design is phenomenal. You flinch every time a gun goes off, and that's really impressive for a war movie. And it adds to the cinematic universe of Jesse Plemons playing weird guys that say weird things that Twitter talks about forever.
Oh, I was sent down from Washington, D.C. to see
What kind of American?
That'd be profitable for Frito-Lay.
There's a strong case to be made that Jesse Plemons should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor, because even though he's not in this movie a lot, he does come in and kind of change the tone and the feel of the movie with just his time on screen. Isn't it amazing that the guy who made this is so much closer to death than you or I'm assuming? I just hope that when I am 79 years old, I can make a blockbuster of this scale, funded by the Australian government, that kicks so much more ass than any movie that came out all year. Thanks a bunch, George Miller, and I like Chris Hemsworth with that accent.
Do you have it in you to make it epic?
By the way, if you want to see me talk about Furiosa or Deadpool and Wolverine, go check out my appearances on the Film Fan Club show with Sam Carrico, link in the description. This is one of the best Netflix movies that they ever released. This should have came out in a movie theater. Everybody is so likable, you legitimately want them to get away with the caper. Richard Linklater, you still got it, although School of Rock remains the best Linklater movie.
Hello, this is Ned Schneebly.
Now we're getting into the top 5 of the year. I think this top 5 is a little bit different than my top 5s of years past, because any of these 5 movies, I'll go to plate and say, could be my favorite movie of the last 10 years. The top 3 might even be some of my favorite movies of all time. And I think 5 really solid A++ movies makes this a great year for cinema. So let's talk about what got us there. To have a movie where 2 dudes are kind of dating each other by dating the same woman. I think this says so many interesting things about human sexuality, about relationships, and about things that I don't care about, like tennis. I also think this is the first time that I've ever looked at Zendaya and said, wow, that's a movie star. She carries this thing, and I don't think that this movie is the same without her. This is the biggest Oscar snub of 2024. I can't believe Luca didn't get that nomination. This is just the kind of movie that makes you think, and it's not doing anything really outlandish or strange. I would say there are probably even people who have lived through similar situations. It's just a way that this filmmaker thinks is so interesting to me.
Like the way they think.
I like it a lot. This has so quickly become one of my comfort movies. I think Mikey Madison is such a find. I think this is such an addictive movie. The first half pulls you in kind of a Goodfellas way, because in a lot of ways, Anora is a rise-fall. It's the rise-fall of a relationship rather than the rise-fall of, say, a mobster. The first half is sexy. The first half is fun. The first half is you wanting to enter this stripper's world when she meets a rich guy that she's gonna marry. And then the second half takes such a bizarre right turn and stays in it. The coolest thing about this movie is that when the big twist happens, it happens so early that you keep thinking it's going to be over soon. It's only at the end of the movie that you realize, oh, this wasn't about what I thought it was going to be about at all. And that's so cool. On the outside looking in, you might even say, I'm not that interested in this movie because I've seen it before. I've seen True Romance, I've seen Pretty Woman, but it's not those things. It's more of an Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems. Right.
Anyway, I watch this every time I get on a plane now. Sorry to the people next to me. I know there's a lot of nudity in it. What I think is so especially cool about The Substance, other than the bizarre premise and the weird heightened reality that we live in, like a billboard gets put up and it just says new show and it never tells you what channel, but everybody in the universe, you know, they know. And it's not just that you think about The Substance all the time. I think the most interesting thing about The Substance is how this was marketed. The trailer showed up for me the day that I saw the movie. I don't think I had heard people even speak about this movie before it came out. And then all of a sudden, it was this big indie darling to an overnight phenomenon, and now it's nominated for Best Picture. Universal was going to distribute this movie and decided it was too extreme and would not reach a larger audience, and Mubi had to come in and save the day at the end. And that's so cool because it shows that the way that these major studios think about movies is changing. This is one of the biggest hits of the year, critically and financially. Everybody knows this movie, and it's weird, and it's out there, and it's original filmmaking at its highest level. You cannot guess where this thing goes. Is a movie about a hip-hop group in Ireland trying to save the Irish language during the current day struggle with the British. It sounds much more boring than it is because this is such a fun, out there movie. Think something like Attack the Block meets Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which is great because the movie is talking about some really heavy stuff that is going on in a foreign country to American audiences. And I think the best way to get a message out to people is by making it fun, packaging it in a way that the person doesn't even realize they're receiving a message. You leave this movie not only having a great time, but also really thinking about the Irish culture and moreover about kind of our struggles as a human race living together in harmony, and how art and mainstream, big popular art has a place in our society and how it sways the way the world goes, but it's also a movie about three guys doing drugs and rapping. Coming in at number 2, and this was more than likely going to be my number 1 for a long time. It is the most movie that came out this year. This feels like one of those movies that we grew up with, like a Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Wars. Something that just takes you and sucks you in. I haven't felt like that since I was a little kid watching Spider-Man 2. The world of Dune Part 2 is the only thing that matters once you go into this movie. Brought to you by the best cinematographer working or alive today, Mr. Greg Fraser. I don't think they make him like this anymore. I don't even think Dune 3 will be like this. I don't even think Dune 1 was like this. This is without question one of the best movies of all time. So many people who I did not care for before this movie are in this. I was not a Timothée Chalamet guy. I definitely was not an Austin Butler guy. We've already talked about Zendaya. After this, all of those people are movie stars to me. And it's also one of my best theater experiences probably of my entire life. Not just IMAX. Seeing this in Dolby Digital was incredible. This is one of the most popular movies of the year, so what is left to say except they can still make blockbuster entertainment that is entertaining, thought-provoking. And there is a happy medium between general audience and art house cinema. And you get there with Dune 2. And coming in at number 1. I saw this right after Dune 2, and it's not that I think it's a better movie. Coming in at number 1. I would actually say both of these movies are probably now in my top 50 movies of all time. It's that Late Night with the Devil is so my frequency of movie. Growing up, late night TV was such a comfort to me, especially between the ages of like 11 to like 16. Craig Ferguson, David Letterman. I loved those shows. And because I sought late night TV as a comfort in my younger years, a found footage demon possession movie that uses a late night TV broadcast is so up my alley. On top of that, this is the kind of horror that I like. It's very Evil Dead in a way that we don't see anymore. There was a lot of, in my opinion, overblown controversy about this film that I don't really want to get into. And it is a shame because I think this is artistic excellence that more people should have gotten involved with when it was in theaters. I see myself watching this every Halloween probably for the rest of my life, and I hope David Dastmalchian gets to be in more movies. Also, my wonderful wife Brittany also made a list of the top 10 movies of the year. Thank you so much. I appreciate your continued support and for watching this long in the video. And I will see you in 2025. Talk about 10 more great movies.